Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 5 of 31 Days of Monsters. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Bela Lugosi performances. He really is excellent in this film. This is the 1932 White Zombie, produced by the Halpern brothers. Low-budget company. They utilized a lot of the sets from Frankenstein, Dracula, the Universal backlot stuff. And they put it to good use because, my goodness, the atmosphere in this movie is amazing. When I first saw this was a public domain film, and the only available copies were these really crappy, washed out black and white. And so, over the past few days when I've been talking about this film, I've sort of been underselling it. And I regret that, because if people didn't tune into it before today's show, I think they missed something. I watched it this morning. I went on Amazon. You could rent it. You could rent the the restored version because they've cleaned it up now and restored the contrasts and everything. Or you could, on Freevee or Free TV or whatever it is, you could do one with commercials, which I hate. And then there was like a colorized one. It looks like they used a better print for, and then they colorized it. And that's the one I ended up going with on because it didn't have commercials. And it was surprisingly good. Some of my criticisms about the pacing still hold. There's some slow scenes, people walking around, that kind of stuff. But when you pay attention to the dialogue and everything, it's really, really a very good atmospheric and creepy film. And every scene that Bela's in, he just steals the show. He is he's like the personification of evil in this thing, and yet he's human. He's not Dracula. He's not an undead creature. So there's even bits of humor or human emotion that he exudes in this thing, and I just love him. I just think he's amazing. You can't keep your eyes off this guy. Yeah. Again, we talked about that Mount Rushmore of horror actors that, were hard workers, that no matter what the material or how outrageous the material, they always turned in 100% performance. And this is one of Bela's early great ones. Evidently, it's one of his favorite performances, but he had a lot of mixed feelings about it because he always felt that he was underpaid. He only got like $900 to be in this movie. I guess he figured, again, he's a working actor. He's got to take the gig. And it was a low budget picture by, two guys that weren't really affiliated with a major studio. And it did really well. It made a lot of money. And so he always regretted that. He always felt he was underpaid. And that's a terrible thing to have regrets like that, But it lives on. Here we are, 1932, almost 100 years later, 90 years later, to be sure. We're still talking about it and about his performance. So Bela had a tough career. I mean, he peaked, and then his career ended up in Poverty Row films. He had a drug addiction because of back pain, and interesting story. He was one of the first celebrities to come out about his addiction problems and went into like a rehab center. And Frank Sinatra paid his tab. Sinatra was a big fan of his from days when he was a kid, and Bela was hard in hard luck times, and Sinatra paid his rehab bills, which is pretty cool. Good morning, everybody. I see some regular folks in here. Dr. Mask, Retro Elixir, Chris Juliano is here. Fearless Freep is up this morning. Excellent. Rob Fellows is here. Hyper Kaiju. Excellent. JP Roca. Delaware Comic Dude. Dr. Mass says, you said it was a slow burn, but it's only an hour and 7 minutes or so long. Yeah, but there are parts where it feels longer. Uh, yeah, if you go on IMDb, some of the reels that they show you there, you could see those are from the restored version because you could see the clarity and the contrast. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there is a Blu-ray version. Let's check that. I think I'm pretty sure there is because I considered zombie. Zombie Blu-ray review. Let's see. Well, it didn't get a very good review. uh, on the Blu-ray, but there is a Blu-ray version from Kino. Um, let's see. The Blu-ray arrives with a less than satisfying audio and video presentation, but at least the supplements are decent enough. In the end, the overall package is one cult horror enthusiasts will want to add to their collection, while others rent first before deciding to buy. Okay. Well, whatever it is, it's got to be better than those. It's got to be better than those public domain ones. Those were awful. So I'm curious what you guys thought about it when you watched it, because somebody in here just said they saw it for the first time. Here, a Hyper Kaiju. He said he had actually never seen this one before. That's cool. It's always neat when you get to see some classic film for the first time with fresh eyes. Hyper Kaiju saw it on YouTube. Okay. All right. So just checking to see what we have on tap for tomorrow. All right. Cool. Another one that was in public domain forever, Night of the Living Dead, which is available on. I'm sure it's on YouTube for free if you're willing to go through commercials, but it's also on HBO Max and Paramount Plus. So if you have those subscriptions, you can watch, some good solid copies. Hyper Kaiju liked it. Chris Juliano says he loved its overall creepiness, the shots. Yeah, there's some really great matte paintings too of the castle. Like there's a shot where two of the characters are down at the beach and they're looking up at the castle on this cliff wall, and it's really great. Anyone see Hammer's Plague of the Zombies? Yeah, I've seen that. Great makeup in that. I can't remember the plot. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, that was a good one. Really cool looking zombies. The first time I had seen that was in uh, that famous horror book that came out in the 70s. The green cover. I can't remember the name of the author, but there were pictures of it in there. Of one of those zombies holding a woman, and I thought that was really really cool. There's a lot of those. I was voraciously reading all those horror books as a kid, and there'd be pictures of these films that I'd never seen, particularly some of the Hammer films and silent films. Uh, as a kid, I'd never been able, didn't have access to because there was no Blu-ray or streaming services or anything like that. So you're at the whims of your television stations to show them, and you have to know about them. You have to be able to set your clock by it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, bottom line is like some of these images were so amazing. And I was just tantalized, I had to see these films. And then eventually when I did see them, some of them were like really cool. And other ones were like, oh my God, this picture is better than the movie. There was one, there was a series of Philippine movies called the Blood Beast films. And I remember the Monster Times was like my go-to monster magazine. It was had very low distribution, but it was published in the tri-state area, so I could pick it up at like places where I would buy comics, luncheonettes and corner stores, that type of thing. And there was this one that featured I think it was called Night of the Blood Beast, and it was like this um, desecrated body, sort of like what you would see like modern zombies type of thing. And he's standing there, and he's like this, and he's holding his own head. He's like he's ripped his head right off his body, and that was the picture I saw, and I was like, wow, look at this! I got to see this movie. It looks so terrifying. And then I bought the Blood Beast box collection that had all of them, and they're really bad. I was like, oh man. It starred an American. He was a teen idol at one time, and he went over to the Philippines, and he made a lot of money over there making these kind of low budget films. What the heck was his name? Gee, if I only had a way to search that. Let's see. Blood Beast. No, that's not him. Night of the Blood Beast? No, that's not it. Blood Beast Terror? What was that guy's name? Maybe one of you guys know. Ed Nelson? No, that's not it. Okay, we got to do a little research here, folks. What? Blood Beast. I'm pretty sure it was called the Blood Beast. Maybe it wasn't Night of the Blood Beast. The Blood Beast Terror. 68. That's possible. No, that's Peter Cushing. Huh. I must have the wrong name. It must not be Blood Beast. Let's try Philippine horror movies. Try that. Oh, crap. Evidently, they made a ton of them. Philippine monster movies. Let's try it. Brides of Beast of Blood. That must be it. That's it. That's it. John Ashley. Oh, look, I've even got the. Hold on. I'm going to even show you. I'm going to show you the image I was talking about. There we go. There it is. Look at that. Now, imagine yourself a 12-year-old kid and you see this in a monster magazine. You're like, oh my God, I have got to see this. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable, all right. It's unbelievably bad. But you know what? It was a great poster. What are you going to do? Rob Fellows comes to the rescue. The Pictorial History of Horror Movies by Dennis Gifford. Yes, that's the movie book I was talking about. Had like a green cover. It was a hardcover book with the dust jacket. And in fact, the Monster Times, I would see that advertised in it. That's where I was exposed to so many things in the advertising section of. There was Frazetta books, there was Flash Gordon and Popeye books, there was movies. There's a ton of different genre things that I had no idea about and first saw in that magazine. White Zombie did a great creepy atmosphere, especially the early scenes with the zombies. Yeah, and then walking down hills and stuff. Um, it's you know what I noticed what was odd is like for the first half of the movie there is no soundtrack, and then all of a sudden a soundtrack comes in, and it's sort of like a almost like a silent film soundtrack, you know, um, just music playing in places where it's not really necessary. But I guess it was necessary because nothing much was happening. Like there's, you know, a scene of them carrying, you know, like when the butler gets tossed. You know, there's a long. It's a very drawn out scene of the zombies carrying him slowly up the stairs, and two characters are watching him go up the stairs. They round the corner, they walk out, and they toss him over this wall into a raging torrent of water. And then they turn around and they start to come back. Then we go back to Bela and uh, the other character. I think it was Beaumont. It was Beaumont. Um, you know, about to engage in dialogue. So, you know, then there's music playing because can you imagine that if there was no music? Leg Kick 1. Do you have Wrightson's Frankenstein book? Yeah, I have the first printing of it. I bought it when it came out. It was originally packaged as a trade paperback. Yeah, it was a different movie than what I was thinking of, but I found it. A lot of acting was silent movie-esque. Well, let's think about it. You know, wasn't the first talkie 1928? The Jazz Singer. It's definitely the Jazz Singer. I think it was 1928. So this is 1932. So you're only 4 years into sound. Uh, uh, Madge, is it Madge Bellamy? I think was the actress who played the lead in this. Was a silent film star. Um, and I'm sure all of these guys, there's no real spring chickens in here, had to have been working either on stage or in the silence. Certainly Bela was in silent films, uh, and of course on stage. And you know that's sort of the way that the silent films acting was stage acting, which you know you have to play to the back row, so everything is sort of over the top. You know, their expressions and their actions. You know they move. You know, there's not a lot of nuance because on a stage, you know, you want the people in the back row to be able to, you know, at least have an idea of what that emotion is that you're trying to put across. Eventually, they learn that, you know, the camera can zoom in close up and you're, you know, as big as a two-story building on the screen, and that you can develop, you know, different ways of emoting and different ways of acting. So yeah, you'll see that a lot in these early films, but you can also you see some really great actors come about in the talkies early on that didn't bring that silent screen stuff. Guys like James Cagney, who sort of, you know, set the pace for a naturalistic style of acting. You know, plant your feet, look in the character's eyes, and say your lines, and say them with conviction. And you see some of that in some of these early films too. Richie Dupe is giving bananas to everybody again. This is one of my favorite movies, Ghost Breakers. I did this one either last year or the year before. It's right up there with Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. Not quite at that level, but it's very good. And yeah, there is a zombie in that, which is kind of cool. Hey, Stat Zero is up early. Hello, sir. We had a fun little stream last night, just kind of talking about Halloween, monster movie, and monster magazines, memories. That was fun. Everybody everybody's saying hello, Stat. Santiago Pelagos. The sets were incredible. So much detail on these. Yeah, they borrowed high-end sets from Universal. You can see, some of the stairs and um, balcony they used in Frankenstein. Um, y- it looked like a lot of money was spent on the film, when in fact it wasn't. Not a fan. Uh, my wife Julie loves The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. Not me. I'm not a fan of that one. Dr. Mass says hit that like button. I'm seeing 3 likes. And we got a lot more people than 3 in here. So everybody punch that like button, please. Beaumont redeemed himself at the end and had to die, though. Yep. When he realized his mistake, you knew he loved the girl. And he wasn't totally evil. He was just consumed by it. And yeah, he did redeem himself. What's interesting is Bela plays this character, Murder Legendre, and his name is never once said in the film. He's in the credits as Murder Legendre, but he's not his name is never said. Then there's the running gag with the minister. Pardon me, do you have a match? Which is how the movie ends, and how we're introduced to the characters. So that's a kind of a lighthearted little bit that runs through it. JP Roca gets it done right. He hits it always the first thing before even making a comment. Be like JP Roca, people. Go in there and hit that like button first before you make a comment. And if you don't make a comment, hit it anyway. Like Kick 1 is taking off. Have a great day. Take care, chat. Yeah, you have a great one too. And do your homework and watch Night of the Living Dead, the original George Romero one, tomorrow. Rob Fellows says the boyfriend was such a chump in this. It's funny. When I was watching it, all I could think of is, not the character, but the actor. He looks like Shane Davis. I might have to do a side by side and show the two. I was like, oh my God, that's Shane. Yeah, Murder Legendre is a great name. When I was first starting out, I was working at Eclipse, and one of my first regular gigs was doing The Prowler. It was a series developed by Tim Truman and John K. Snyder III, and it was a story of this sort of Dark Knight-ish in that he was like a vigilante character in the 1940s, and their stories took place in the modern day when Leo Craig is an old man and he's mentoring this young guy to become the new Prowler. But then we would do backup stories of Leo Craig back in the day in the 1940s, and those stories were done by me and Michael Price. And one of the running characters we had running through it was Murder Legendre, because it was public domain. We were able to use the character and the likeness, and so that was my first exposure to this film, because I'd never heard of it until then, and had to watch it, and gather reference for it and all. So I have a little connection and soft spot in my heart for this film, because it started at the beginning of my my career. Okay, well, there we go, folks. We've gotten through day 5 of the 31 Days of Monsters. I'm just looking at Ghost of Matacumba Key, and that is tracking way ahead of Alien Alamo at this point. We're closing in on 45,000 in 4 days. with 659 backers. That's the big number, is the backers, because for me, it's all about getting more and more people involved and loving the books and reading the books, because that's the goal, is to get as many people, loving this stuff. And so I'm really happy with that. It's been a great 4 days, and I hope we can continue this trend. If any of you guys out there have not backed it yet, please do so. We unveiled the Kelly Jones cover yesterday, and it's amazing because it's Kelly and he's amazing. So give that a thought if you haven't done so, and please share the link with as many people as you can. It'd be greatly appreciated. So thank you, my friends. We will see you tomorrow for Night of the Living Dead, and that should be fun. Don't eat breakfast before watching it. Have a good one.